I'm great. I'm great. Hey, congratulations on A Lone Wolf.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Hey, so, uh, so tell me where the original idea came from for A Lone Wolf.
The film originally it came from this idea of it's this Japanese epidemic they're actually having called hikikomoro, and it's basically the idea that they are rejecting the outside world to kind of live by themselves and to create their own little world. So it basically kind of like started there with like what would happen if someone rejected society completely and wanted to make their own little world inside, and like what would it take for that person to like rejoin the world and whether or not he would want to rejoin the world. So that's kind of where like it started from, and then it just went from there into what it became.
I feel like it's a story of my life or everybody lies right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, oddly it did. Yeah, before it was funny because I like was worried about there's like plastic everywhere. There's a lot of like weird kind of things that are happening that I wasn't sure like it would be able to explain so easily. But now it's like I think everyone just completely understands without like it's a much different world than when we actually made the film into when we actually were able to release it. So I mean, in a weird way, it kind of works for the film, and like um, luckily, and like so everyone can relate to it now. You know?
So how do you feel about the timeliness of the film? I mean, you didn't expect this to happen at all when you made the film.
No, no, not. I mean, it's unfortunate that like that the world has become what it has become right now, and I mean, I hope that it helps people kind of help them just entertain them through a little through the time. There's really no it just happened to work out that way. We couldn't have planned any of this with any sort of connection to what was happening. So it just ended up falling into place that way.
So tell me the setup, especially with the house, by putting on plastic curtains everywhere. We're talking about a man who is kind of a germaphobe.
Yeah, basically, I think it's just from his parents working at like a type of factory plant that where they got sick from that environment, and just I think if you just start worrying at like just like a when you start to go like, oh, the outside world is bad, you're going to start creating barriers between yourself and it. And it's just like he had his walls of the house, but he's like, well, I need something else to protect. And it's just like it just built and built. And this is like this his life has just become so inclusive that he's just scared of any possible thing outside and wants like nothing to do with anything. So it's just his way of blocking himself off from the world, like covering the windows in paper so like no one can see in, and then the plastic to protect from any sort of virus or any sort of um, outside, irregularity he doesn't want. So it's his little shell of protection.
Well, of course, you're staying safe right now in your home. You probably have lots of deliveries and probably looking through at your delivery people through a camera or something like that. But you don't have plastic sheets all over the room.
Sure. No, no, not right now. I mean, during when we were in pre-production, I had put up plastic around just to kind of we started playing with ideas for like cameras and stuff like that, and it definitely is a weird environment if you keep it up for too long. It's kind of like a very like you're in like a little fishbowl of plastic. It is very like that set itself was very it made a certain mood to it when you entered it, when you really like it was upsetting in a strange way that you were just like so just but no, there is no plastic here, no scare of anyone else.
Hey, so tell me, I understand this is your first feature film, full length feature film, and it's also your first screenplay for full length feature film.
It is for both of those. And yep, sorry.
No, I was going to say, so tell me about that. Tell me about that experience.
Well, I mean, it's a very you learn a lot. You have to learn a lot quickly. I mean, luckily for me, I've spent a lot of the past 15 years on set. I work a lot in lighting side of film, so I was lucky to be able to be next to camera and watch a lot of great directors do their thing and kind of like quietly, steal from them and kind of find things that work and find things that don't work. And so that part, like being on set and directing, I was more comfortable with than writing. And the writing kind of came because, like, as I'm trying to find projects to direct, trying to find projects to do, and no one's going to give you that perfect script because like it just doesn't happen. So I've realized that I'm going to have to write my own. And through many, many other bad scripts, we finally ended up on this one, which was halfway decent, that I was able to convince people to come along with me on a little journey.
And any good directors gave you advice before you did this project?
Nothing specific. I mean, nothing, like there was no hard rule of like anything. It was just, nothing. I mean, a lot of people just say like, just follow your instinct. If something is telling you to do something, it's probably right, or, no real hard and fast rules. Unfortunately, nothing I can think of that was really specific, do something that would, I wish I had those, but I didn't.
Well, you had plenty of experience. I know through your filmography, you were a grip on a lot of different type of productions. But for some of us who are not familiar with the Hollywood lingo, what is a grip?
Oh boy. We are sort of like the engineers of filmmaking. We just need to like something that needs to happen that, if you need a camera way up high, any sort of camera movement, any sort of like diffusion of light, any sort of rigging. It's a whole encompassing department that's kind of hard. Mostly I'm a dolly grip, which means I am responsible for any camera movement. There was an operator with the camera, and then me and him kind of coordinate how to figure out whatever the shot is, whether we're moving through a set or moving, like booming up, booming down, and so yeah, it's a good little spot to be if you want to be right next to camera and be right with the actors and really kind of see the magic happen. So
sounds so complicated, and all this experience gave you directorial a chance. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, when I first, I came to LA like many people, just with a car full of stuff and trying to figure out a way on set. And the only person I knew was my sister's best friend's aunt was a producer, and that was, like I met with her. And I think she gave me a job as like a PA or something, and then I just tried to find my way on set as much as possible, and it just kind of fell into this script world. And I was fortunate to be able to work on some big projects, and it was really, I was very fortunate. And yeah, and like I said, I was able to watch a lot of people and learn and just keep, moving forward.
I love the fact that you kept this indie project simple. Tell me about that, where this house is, and how was it?
Yeah, I mean, we really, like I knew, like we can't have these big, huge crowd scenes. We can't have explosions. This script was designed to be made for a very minimal budget. And when it came down to the house itself, we basically shot in this single house for 2 weeks of our 3-week production. And it was, we were lucky to find a place, actually not too far from actually where I lived. And the guy was fortunate enough, like he was in the middle of doing construction and getting permits, and that takes a long time in LA. And he was like, well, I'm going to basically got this whole place anyway, so you guys can do whatever you want, which is a pretty great gift to a filmmaker, especially when we don't have the budget to do everything. So we're able to kind of design this space really for Jonathan, and really help like even with the actors kind of figuring out the best way, like where would everything be, where would his office be, how far away from the door did it need to be, and all that. So it was we were very fortunate to find the location we did for that main house.
Well, let me talk about your cast, because I just spoke to Richard and Karin. They told me a story. I want to hear your version of the story on how you brought them on board and why they were perfect.
You mean like how we met, like that part of the story, like
yeah,
that?
They actually told me that story.
So my wife is in the jewelry business, and she was working for the time at this engagement ring, just a jewelry shop, but also they sold engagement rings. And Richard had gone in there, and she had met him, and it was a time when we were like starting to really kind of lock down, trying to find the main actors, trying to really, like find locations and things like that. And she had come home and was like, "Oh, I met this actor," and I was like, "Great! Like, there's an actor every 4 feet in LA." Like, I literally did not think anything of it. And so we're sitting there. I'm looking through all these other other people were bringing other actors, the producers, and other people I met, and just trying to figure it out. And then he had, I think it was she either just wrote down his name. I think she might have just written down his name. And so finally I was like, oh, maybe I'll look him up. And so I looked him up. I was like, oh, this guy looks kind of good. And then so I started looking at his stuff, trying to find movies that he was in. And I found him. I watched The Repeaters and Cole, and I watched a couple of like little things I could find with him. And I was like, realizing this guy might really work. And so I was able to meet him, and luckily he enjoyed the script. And then came to the next part of casting town, and he was like, again, it was kind of the same thing. He's like, at his time, his girlfriend at the time was also an actress. I was like, of course. And then I started looking her up. I was like, wow, this might work out really well. Like it's the relationship is already there. So it's like, we don't need to like concentrate on that. We can just more concentrate on the specific characters, because, like you can see their relationship together is not going to change. Like, so if we just like tweak these characters to where they can speak for them, it will work. And luckily I think it did. Like, everyone that watches it loves them. Like, they are fantastic together on screen, and it really, it really worked out really well for us, luckily.
So having a couple play a couple in your movie made a lot of things easier because of all of this?
I think so. I mean, like, because there's just already like an established relationship. They already, like they can already like, like when you're with someone for a long time and you get close to somebody, you can kind of just, what someone's going to do before they do it, like, and so you can kind of judge off someone's reaction. And so it's an inherent thing that's like, you can build it with lots of rehearsal and lots of, like really digging into it, but we didn't have the time to really, like spend that much for rehearsal. So already having that baseline to start with was a great thing for this production.
I'm curious, how long was your production for?
We shot for 16 days, all in Los Angeles. It was 2 weeks in the one house, the main house, and then about a week of just chaos and just running around different locations. When we were in the one location, it's pretty, it's controlled because everyone kind of gets like in a little pattern, and, everyone has their stuff wherever it is. And then once you go out on the road, it was a little more chaotic, but we were able to really work it out and get it done.
Before I forget, I'm assuming you don't have the same type of recruiting story for James Aaron Oliver. I mean, he was kind of scary in that film.
No, James. Where did we find James? I think a producer I'd worked with or someone had met him before. Like, he came through a recommendation, and so I just kind of worked out. I mean, he is very diverse as an actor. Like his like the range, like there was things I was watching I didn't realize it was him. Like, I was like, whoa, that is him. Like, he's very talented, and he had a really interesting approach to Benny, like how he wanted to take it, and how he just had a nice idea that wasn't this like kind of stereotypical like mean bad guy. Like, so it was fun to work with him, and he really dug in there. And I think he always chooses kind of darker parts because he likes to kind of hang out in that area, which is that's his thing, but it was good. We're very he worked out really well. He did a good job, and people are definitely people were definitely freaked out by him. So.
You wore so many hats, directing, writing, producing. Could you tell me what was your greatest challenge for yourself personally?
I mean, I kind of tried to find, I kind of know my weaknesses. Like, I don't like the business side of film. Like, I really don't like there's a lot of paperwork that needs to be done. There's a lot of SAG paperwork. There's all this type of technical stuff and setting up businesses, and it's like, I don't really care for any of that. So I found other producers that actually kind of enjoy that side. So it's like, so they knew that they were doing the business side of things, and they were, like, in that was their control. And not that they didn't also help with script and everyone was helping with everything, but it's like, as long as I know like that's kind of where their interest lies. So like it's kind of, I can kind of, okay, they do that and then I do this, and then so like it's very kind of finding how to balance it out with who I can find, who I can put in other positions to kind of balance everything out. And really, I mean, it's finding the best people you can and just letting them do their job. It's like directing is kind of easy, you know, like as long as you have great people, like our cinematographer Baz, when he came on, there was like this huge relief that came over me. I was like, oh, well, at least I don't have to even worry about that anymore. Like I know it'll look fantastic. I know like he'll figure out like from my kind of weird little words and drawings and pictures, he'll figure out how to translate that into the look of the film. And it was like, so, and then we found Marie for production designer, and she really like kind of understood the world and really took it in places that was, you know, like, you know, with the minimal budget as much as she could, you know, which was fantastic. And then, you know, get great actors. And I just sit back and watch, you know, like it makes it, you know, easy for that part.
Excellent. Well, let me start wrapping things up. I know it's a silly question to ask, but it's always a question that we always ask at the end of every interview is, do you have upcoming projects for yourself?
I do. Luckily, I've had a lot of time for writing, like I'm sure a lot of people have for the last 3 months. And then we're just trying to figure out how to get them going and places to, you know, reach out to and start figuring how to get them going. Because also that's the other problem now is film is kind of everything's halted. So it's there's a big realizing how to continue forward, how to move forward with this whole pandemic and how to keep everyone safe. And you know, it's going to be tricky for a while now. So unless you're making animation, it's it's kind of a different world we're entering into. But you know, we'll find ways to go through. Film normally doesn't stop.
So I'm assuming just with this experience, you want to direct again.
Oh yes, yeah. That's the goal. There's nothing else I've found more challenging. There's nothing that I've ever found that's been the same. Like, yes, you want to, you hate yourself a lot of the times during the middle of it, and you really don't want to do it, but the reward is so much greater than at the end, and just to make this thing that's like, this wouldn't have existed if we didn't go on this path. You know, like if everything didn't fall into place and happened to work out the way it did, like it's just amazing what comes out of it. So yeah, that's the, you know, writing and directing for future projects is hopefully we're continue forward.
Well, great. Hey, well, congratulations again for Lone Wolf. You've done a terrific job, and I also want to commend you that you came out with a pandemic film before the pandemic, and
Yeah.
and I'm sure in the next year there'll be 200 pandemic movies.
Oh, there will be. There'll be a lot of relationship, two people trapped together, romantic comedy movies, but maybe one of them will work. But yeah, somehow we made the pandemic movie before the pandemic.
That's right. Hey, congratulations. Hey, thank you, Charles, for speaking with me.
Thank you so much.
Hey, not a problem. Thank you.
Thank you.